Okay, good morning dear friends. So now we'll start discussion on the next topic, that is gate sizing for optimal path delay. Okay, so here what we shall do, we'll have a network of gates or a linear chain of gates. Now in order to obtain the minimal path delay, what are the required size of the transistors for individual gates? That will be our problem. Now to start with the problem, let us assume this first, that you have got an inverter driving a capacitive load, and this capacitive load is much sizable, considerable value, say 100 femtofarad or even 1 picofarad, something like that. Now to drive a large load in the circuit that you have shown, you remember that on the assumption that the input is a ramp, a linear ramp, not a step. So what is the delay? Delay is nothing but the product of resistance, that is the driving resistance, and the capacitive load. So it is R effective and capacitive load, their product. Now if we have to minimize the delay, the R effective have to be increased as much as possible. And how to increase that? Only by increasing the width of the transistors involved. So we have got a NMOS transistor, we have got a PMOS transistor. We can increase the size of the transistor as much as we can, as we are permitted to do. Okay, so what is the effective resistance? Effective resistance is nothing but the product of, say if you are considering the NMOS resistance, NMOS transistor, it is R equivalent multiplied by L by W. So R equivalent equal to 12.5 kilo ohm per square and multiplied by L by W, that is channel length divided by the width of the transistor. On the other hand, if you are considering the PMOS transistor, you know that what will be the R effective? R effective will be the product of R EQP, that is 30 kilo ohm per square multiplied by LP by WP. Okay. Now LP and LN, normally these are fixed by the fabrication house. That means for 130 nanometer it is kept fixed at say 100 nanometer. For 180 nanometer process it is kept fixed at 200 nanometer. Fine. When we require R effective, you see that when you have applied a positive ramp, so in response the capacitance will have a negative going exponential, right? So then you have to consider the NMOS transistor. On the other hand, if you have a negative going ramp, then the PMOS transistor will be instrumental in charging up the capacitance. So R effective will become R EQP multiplied by LP by WP. Clear? So in either manner, for either purpose, it is we require to increase the width of the PMOS and width of the NMOS. Right? So do you think it will solve our problem? No. Why is it so? Because our problem is ill-posed. Because we have forgotten to consider that this inverter is not a standalone element. This inverter will be driven by some other driver also. So only sizing up the inverter will not solve our problem. This is rather an unconstant problem. Okay, it needs proper specification. So as the next better posed problem, we consider a chain of inverters, say chain of 3 inverters driving a capacitive load, right? So as we are considering 3 inverters driving this capacitive load, you can suggest as before that, well, make the third inverter as wide as possible. But it will not solve our problem because it is being driven by the second inverter, and as you increase the size of the third inverter, you are only presenting a large capacitive load to the second inverter. Then you say, well, I have to reduce the delay to the second inverter. Then I better increase the size of the transistors of the second inverter. Well, that also will not solve the problem because in process you are presenting more load to the first inverter. So what we are doing, in order to solve the local problems, local optimization you are doing, you are passing the problem to the input side more and more, right? So that is also not a proper specification. It goes without saying that we have a chain of inverters for which there is an input capacitance and at the end there is an output capacitance. But the proper specification of the problem means that you have to state what is the capacitive load and what is the input capacitance. Okay, and also there will be a linear chain of inverters. Now the question arises, how many inverters will be there in the chain? Okay, and what will be their corresponding size? That we have to unambiguously find out. So the two unknown parameters are number of logic gates, here inverters, in the path and their corresponding sizes. Clear? Right? So the delay equation can be well stated now as the path delay equal to summation of the RC product. Okay, so where Ri is the driving resistance of each gate and Ci is the output load capacitance on the gate. Mind you, we can write this sum of product terms, okay, only when we are assuming a ramp input, be it positive going ramp or a negative going ramp. Next we have to select the transistor width to minimize the delay. Clear? So inverter chain delay optimization problem, let me state it clearly. We have to drive a large capacitive load starting with a small input capacitance. Large capacitive load we abstract by the term CL and small input capacitance Cin. So assumption is that one needs several logic stages of increasing size to drive the load. Okay. Now input capacitance of a gate, here inverter completely specifies the size of devices and it is given by input capacitance equal to Cg multiplied by Wn plus Wp. Here we are considering a single inverter. That's what we have to consider. The input capacitance becomes the size of the NMOS transistor and the PMOS transistor. That's what the input gate capacitance is all about. And what is the value of Cg? If you remember, that is 2 femtofarad per micrometer. This we have found out from our earlier discussion of the class. Okay, and this is Cg equal to 3W1. And what is the effective output resistance for the NMOS device? That is, if you consider the NMOS transistor, it is R equivalent ln by Wn. So for an inverter, if you apply a positive going ramp at its input, okay, it will be the NMOS transistor that will be instrumental in discharging the output load capacitance. Hence we have to consider the effective resistance to be R equivalent, that is equal to 12.5 kilo ohm per square multiplied by the channel length of the transistor divided by the width of the NMOS transistor. Clear? Next what we do, let us define a very useful property, an intrinsic property of a gate. Here we are considering an inverter, later on we shall consider NOR gate, NAND gate and other gates. Product of the input capacitance at the output of resistance. So time constant is given by the product of input capacitance and output resistance. So here what is the input capacitance? That is a Cin equal to Cg into 3W1, and what is the output capacitance? It is R equivalent into ln by Wn. So that becomes 3R equivalent Cg ln. So as a convention, when we define time constant of a gate, okay, we are assuming that we are applying a linear positive going ramp at the input. Okay, so we are considering as the effective resistance that of the resistance of the NMOS transistor. Correct? Now time capacitance, why is it so important? Look, time capacitance is a measure of usefulness of the gate. It tells us how useful, how effective the gate is in driving a large load capacitance while trying to minimize its own input capacitance. That means it includes the input and output effects of sizing in one single term. It is a measure of usefulness of a gate for driving a load capacitance while minimizing the input capacitance. Even though we have to note very carefully, even though the size or width of the inverter is changed, by which we mean even if you double the size of the transistors or triple the size of the inverters or made it any size, the time constant remains the same, though self-capacitance changes with the size. Mind you, self-capacitance depends on the layout of the gate, so it will not remain same if you change the size of the transistors. Whereas the time constant is independent of the size of the individual devices, because you can see in the expression of the time constant, it consists of product of three. This is This is invariant. R equivalent, that is 12.5 kilo ohm per square. Cg 250 farad per square. Ln is the channel length. It is fixed by the fabrication process we are considering. So all these things are pretty constant. So this, for an inverter, it will remain same. Okay. Now here we have drawn the to show the delay for inverter driving a load. Consider the delay of a single stage inverter shown in the adjacent figure. Assuming that input has a finite rise time, okay, delay can be written in this fashion. It is the product of effective resistance and the sum of the fan out capacitance plus the self capacitance, and the varying capacitance will also be there, but for the timing we are neglecting the varying capacitance. Note that varying capacitance per unit length is given to be 0.2 femtofarad per micrometer, and here for simplicity we are assuming that the varying capacitance is negligible. So the total delay is given by the product of effective resistance and the sum of fan out capacitance and the self capacitance. Now this term we try to write in a different manner. What we do, we multiply it by the input capacitance outside, that means it becomes R effective into C in, then C out by C in plus C cell by C in. So tau inverter RF and C in becomes tau inverter. When multiplying within the parenthesis, input goes in the denominator, input goes in the denominator. So C out by C in, this becomes what? This is nothing but the fan out factor. C self by C in, this becomes for the gamma. We call it a gamma factor. This gamma for inverter is the ratio of the self capacitance and the input capacitance. Okay. Now, F stands for the fan out ratio or the electrical effort. This gamma for inverter, that's why we are writing the subscript I and B depends on the layout of the gate, since C self depends on the layout. Now, let us compute the time constant of the inverter and the gamma of the inverter for an inverter in 130 nanometer technology. Remember, for 130 nanometer process, the fan out, what you call 2 lambda, that is the width and the length of the minimum sized transistor, the gate length and the gate width, that is 2 lambda. Okay, we call it to be feature size. 2 lambda equal to 0.1 micrometer. So for an inverter in 0.13 micrometer technology, what is the value of time constant then? This is the product of 3 into R equivalent into Cg into Ln. So 3 into 12.5 kilo multiplied by 2 femtofarad per micrometer into 0.1 micrometer, that becomes 7.5 picosecond. Again, how it is coming out to be 7.5 picosecond? 3 into 2, 6. Okay, 6 into 12.5, 75. 75 into 0.1, that is 7.5. And kilo means 10 to the power 3. Femtofarad means 10 to the power minus 15. So 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power minus 15, that becomes 10 to the power minus 12. So picosecond. Okay, 7.5 picosecond. And this micrometer gets cancelled out. Very simple. And what is the gamma inverter? So gamma inverter is nothing but the ratio of the self capacitance and the input capacitance. Now for an inverter of standard size, the self capacitance is the product of C effective, that is 1 femtofarad per micrometer multiplied by 3W. Why 3W? Because you remember W is the size of the NMOS transistor, whereas 2W is the size of the PMOS transistor. So C effective multiplied by 3W, that means 1 femtofarad per micrometer into 3W, and Cg equal to 2 femtofarad per micrometer into 3W. 3W appears both in the numerator and the denominator, so it gets cancelled out. So hence it is the 1 by 2, so 0.5. 0.5 is the gamma of inverter. Now consider a chain of inverters. Here the total delay we can write in this fashion: summation tau inverter into Cj plus 1 upon Cj plus gamma inverter. So J varies from 1 to n. We consider there are n inverters. At the input end you have got input capacitance, that is the input capacitance of the first inverter, and C load happens to be the output capacitance of the last inverter. Now consider the delay of 3 above inverters. So we have shown stage J minus 1, stage J and stage J plus 1. If you consider the delay of the three above inverters, okay, what we write, tau inverter multiplied by the fan out factor, okay, so C out j minus 1 upon C in j minus 1 plus the gamma of this inverter plus tau inverter into fan out factor of the second inverter plus gamma plus tau inverter into fan out factor of the third inverter and the plus gamma. Note this gamma factor is constant for all the inverters. So gamma inverter is C cell by C in, that is equal to C effective into 3Wi upon C in into 3Wi. Oh, that is, this is same for all the inverters that we have found out, it is 0.5. Irrespective of the sizes of the inverters, the gamma remains same for all inverters, although the inverters can individually differ in sizes, okay, whereas the fan out factor C out by C in, that is Cg into Wj plus 1 upon Cg into Wj for the middle inverter. Clear? So now you see that as Cg is both in the numerator and the denominator, so the ratio of the capacitance boils down to the ratio of the width. So it depends on the ratio of the widths of the two consecutive inverters. Clear? Substituting the widths to compute the capacitance, then one gets the total delay. We can rewrite this expression, we can rewrite as the summation factor j tau inverter, the time constant, multiplied by simply the ratio of the size of any inverter on your right divided by the width of the inverter itself. So Wj plus 1 upon Wj instead of Cj plus upon Cj. Clear? Now for optimal solution, take the two consecutive delay terms. So here if you consider these three inverters j minus 1, j and j plus 1, if you consider the first two stages, that means that P and Q, points P and Q in the above figure, then Dj equal to tau inverter into Wj upon Wj minus 1 plus gamma inverter plus tau inverter upon into Wj plus 1 upon Wj plus gamma inverter. Note that in the two parenthesis terms, the factor, the width Wj is common. So we can say as if this Dj is a function of Wj. Okay. So then to obtain the optimal delay for these two stages, what we do, simply differentiate Dj with respect to Wj. Okay. And in the process, if you equate it to 0, we get this relation binding the widths of the three transistors, namely j minus 1 stage, j stage and j plus 1. That is what Wj becomes the geometric mean of Wj plus 1 and Wj minus 1. Okay, so here you have considered a three-stage circuit. We call it to be to ensure the minimum delay. The size of the middle inverter should be geometric mean of the size of the previous inverter and the next inverter. So for two stage, we can take the geometric mean or square root. For n stages, later we will have to take the nth root for optimizing the size of n plus 1 inverters at once. Okay, right? So for n stage circuit, we have actually n plus 1 inverters. As if here for two stage circuit, two stage delay, we have got 3 inverters. Okay, right? So next, inverter chain delay optimization, we show some small simple example. That means, say three inverters are there. If the middle inverter is of size 6, okay, so 6 square equal to 5 into 7. This should, which should be the geometric mean of this and this. So 5 into 7, 35, that is 6 square equal to 36. So roughly this can be 5, 6, 7. But for exact value, suppose this is 4, then this can be 2, this can be 8. Because 2 into 8 equal to 4 square. Okay, so it can be 2, 4, 8. But we need something more precise. In general, for the general case, we have to achieve the geometric sizing by increasing the size of each inverter by a fan out factor f, which is determined using the relationship among the input capacitance, output capacitance and the number of stages. What we mean is that we will have a number of inverters, say a number n, where each inverter is f times wider than its immediate left neighbor. So this inverter is f times wider, this inverter is f times wider. So 1 f square in the stage n, f to the power n minus 2, then finally fn minus 1. So in total number of inverters is n. We start with a minimum sized inverter, let us say. And we have got this C load equal to f to the power n into C, and the input capacity is C. So if this is of minimum size, its input capacitance also we can find out, that is Cg into W plus 2W. Depending on the value of W, we can find out input capacitance. But suppose if load is given and C input is given, so we know what is the value of C in. What is our so what do we have to find out here? Only the value of N and also F. Note that F and N are interdependent. Okay, that we are going to show it just now. So as shown on the left, each stage drives an inverter that is F times larger than itself. Note that delay through each gate must be same as one drives an inverter that is F times itself. So I can prove it also for your benefit. Why do we say that delay through each stage should be same? Just see, delay through the first inverter TD1 equal to tau inverter into fan out factor plus the gamma. So it is tau inverter into W2 by W1 plus gamma inverter, correct? Whereas delay through the second inverter is TD2 equal to again tau inverter into W3 by W2 plus gamma inverter, right? So as W3 by W2 equal to W2 by W1, so obviously TD1 should be TD2. Clear? That means if we know what is the stage delay, that is the delay through one inverter, we can multiply it out by N and then get the total delay. Clear? So overall delay is N times the delay of an inverter. Note, both F and N are unknown, but they are interdependent. So here, as we have got N inverters to consider, so finally C load equal to F to the power N multiplied by C in. Now taking the logarithm for common natural logarithm we are saying, okay, that means whose base is E, 2.7183. So if you take the natural logarithm, it becomes N log of F equal to log of C load by C in, and hence N equal to log of this ratio C load by C in divided by log of F. Now gate delay equal to tau of inverter into Cj by Cj minus 1 plus gamma inverter. Okay, so delay equal to what? Total delay equal to N times tau inverter into Cj by Cj minus 1 plus gamma inverter, right? Again N is related in this manner on F, so we can write the total delay expression where only variable is F and also to some extent gamma inverter. Okay, so total delay becomes log of C load by C in upon log of F multiplied by tau inverter, that means 7.5 second for 7.5 picosecond for 130 nanometer process into F plus gamma inverter. Now typically gamma inverter, if you recall, it depends on the self capacitance, and if you do not neglect the wiring or interconnect capacitance, then gamma inverter depends not only on the self capacitance, that means the junction capacitance, but also on the wiring capacitance. In the earlier days, gamma was neglected with respect to say input and output capacitance. So when we write gamma equal to 0, then we can immediately get the solution. What should be the F? Okay, here we show curve plots that show the variation of the total delay as a function of F. Okay, where gamma is another factor, so corresponding to gamma equal to 0, if gamma equal to 0, then we can write this expression. You see that this becomes constant, log of C load by C in tau inverter is also constant, so it becomes A into F multiplied by log of F, right? So the total delay becomes A into F by log of F, where A is a constant. So now you differentiate this with respect to F and equate this to 0, then the optimal value of fan out factor or width factor is obtained as E, the base of the natural logarithm, that is 2.7183. Clear? Now in today's technology, junction and interconnect capacitance can act to increase the needed drive of inverter. In today's technology, the size of the inverters becomes less and less with aggressive scaling, so hence the size of the inverters gets reduced, but the length of the wire becomes comparable to the inverters. So we no longer can decrease the ignore the the wiring capacity. So that means gamma would be some value, say 0.5, 0.25, 0.1, 1 or 2, whatever. And we can see from the curve that there is a shallow optimum. For gamma equal to 0, the value, the plot gets minimum value corresponding to F equal to 2.71. For gamma equal to 0.5, it is in the range of say 2.5 or 3 nearly. For gamma equal to 2 and 3 likewise, it is in the range say nearly 4, say 3.6, 3.8, something like that. So one typically uses the value f equal to 4 and calls the associated delay as FO4 delay. Now why FO4? FO4 means fan out factor of 4. Okay, so suppose 3-stage inverter you are allowing me to use, then the first stage will be 1 size, then the next stage will be size 4, next stage will be 16, and you finally drive the C load. In the earlier days, if gamma equal to 0, so then it will be 1 E square, something like that. Let us do a problem where we understand what is the chain length, that means how many inverters should be there, and also the size factor, the width factor. Problem: an optimal sizing for the inverter chain. Compute the optimal inverter fan out ratio for a 3-stage inverter. So when you are restricting the size to be 3, that means restricting the length of the chain to be 3, you cannot use more than 3, with C load equal to 200 femtofarad and C equal to 1 femtofarad. Please recompute the value of F if optimal number of stages is used. So you remove the restriction from the length of the chain. You can take more than 3 inverters. Then compute the delay through the chain in the 2 cases, assuming that the time constant of inverter is 7.5 second and gamma equal to 0.5. In the first case, when you are using only 3-stage inverter, that is n equal to 3, so what is the fan out factor you get? Log F equal to 1 by 3 into log of 200, that means 1.766. Therefore the fan out factor becomes e to the power 1.766 or nearly 5.84. The above gives optimal fan out if one is constant to use 3 stages. Okay. What is the delay? That we shall find later. To improve the delay, remove the restriction on the number of stages. That means no longer only 3. It can be more than 3 also. So we find that if for gamma equal to 0.5, from the delay versus fan out curve we know that F equal to nearly 3.6 for optimal path delay. So n becomes log of C load by C in, that is log of 200 divided by log of 3.6. Okay, so it is nearly 4.1. So practical value is 4 because n is an integer. So we use a 4-stage inverter chain. Then F is recomputed as log of F equal to 1 by 4 into log of 200. So or F equal to 3.8. Now let us compute the value of the delay. So total delay equal to n into tau inverter into this is the width factor Cj by Cj minus 1 plus gamma inverter. For 3-stage we found that this factor to be 5.84, right? Here. So total delay becomes 3 into 7.5 into 5.84 plus 0.5, that is nearly 143 picosecond, 142.8. For 4-stage inverter chain, however, it is less. 4 into 7.5 into 3.8 plus 0.5, that is only 128 picosecond. So we find that the best solution is to have a 4 inverter stages, that means an inverter having 4 stages where each inverter is sized to be 3.8 times larger than the previous inverter, right? Next we come to consider the problem of, say, so far we have restricted ourselves to only inverters. Now in general it can be only NAND gate or NOR gate or a mixture of both, right? Mixture of 3, that means inverter, NAND gate, NOR gate, any mixture. For a NAND gate chain, we can show that the total delay will have similar expression. That means the summation of time constant of NAND gate multiplied by Cj by Cj minus 1. This is the fan out factor plus gamma of the NAND gate. Okay, so where tau of NAND is the intrinsic time constant for NAND gate and gamma NAND is the ratio of cell capacitance to input gate capacitance. And for the curves of delay versus fan out for NAND gates, we can easily find that optimal value of F should be 4. There also it is optimal value is 4, which equalizes the delays of all stages. And similarly for NOR gate chain also we can find that the expression will be similar. So an optimal fan out factor will be 4. And as far as the value of tau NAND and tau NOR are concerned, let us see. So intrinsic time constant for NAND and NOR. For 2 input NAND gate, please recall that you have got 2 two NMOS transistors in series in the pull down path, each having size 2W, whereas in the pull up path you have two PMOS transistors in parallel or shunt, each having the size 2W. Why is it so? You can well remember that in general we found that for a standard inverter the PMOS transistor size is 2W, whereas the NMOS size is W. That means the PMOS size is double that of the NMOS size. Here in the worst case only one PMOS can be acting wherever you have got the parallel combination of transistors. You have to consider the worst case, and series combination means all the transistors would be in conduction. Okay, so here the worst case is 2W here, and why you consider 2W each? Because the effective size will be W, because W is proportional to the conductance of the transistor, and if you have got two transistors in series, the equivalent conductance will be half of the individual conductance. So 2W and 2W, the effective equivalent conductance will be W. So 2W in the worst case, here W. So again it will mimic the behavior of a standard inverter. That's why it is 2W and 2W, right? Now to obtain the time constant of the two input NAND gate, two input NAND gate, we consider activation of single input. This is also very important. See, the fan in for gate can be anything, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But while trying to find out the time constant of an individual gate, we have to consider activation of a single input, that is Cg multiplied by Wn plus Wp. Cg is 2 femtofarad per micrometer, and here 2W plus 2W, so 4Wn. That means intrinsic time constant if we consider, now it becomes tau of NAND equal to R effective into Cin equal to R equivalent into Ln by Wn multiplied by 4Wn Cg. So for the two input NAND gate it becomes 4 times R equivalent Ln and Cg. Remember, for inverter it was 3 times R equivalent Ln and Cg. And one thing let me tell you, as you have said, we have to consider activation of single input. Assume that there are two inputs A and B. To B, let us assume that the input B is permanently at logic 1. If it is so, then for this PMOS transistor will never be on, so it is permanently off. Off means it will behave like an open circuit, or it will present an infinite resistance. Whereas in the pull down path, this NMOS transistor, it is permanently 1. That means it is at linear region, so providing in negligible resistance, right? So almost behaving like a short circuit. So that means it is 2W, it is 2W. Clear? So from here you can get the, considering single input activation, the input capacitance will be given Cg upon 2W plus 2W as effective resistance. Also assume that if a 0 to 1 transition is acted linear, of course linear ramp, then this capacitive load will fall, and this transistor which is gated by A, it will be instrumental because it will first be in saturation, then it will go to linear region. So we can only consider this transistor which is gated by A. That's why the effective resistance will be R equivalent multiplied by Ln by Wn. Clear? So hence the effective resistance is R equivalent into Ln by Wn, whereas the input capacitance Cin equal to 4Wn Cg. So hence it is 4 times R equivalent into Ln into Cg. On the other hand, for two input NOR gate, you recall that it consists of two PMOS transistors in series, whereas two NMOS transistors in parallel or shunt. And here we have to consider them to be 4W each. Why? Because the effective width will be 4W and 4W. That means these two combination of two transistors will be effective to a single PMOS transistor having width 2W, whereas for NMOS transistor will have, as they are in parallel, in the worst case only one transistor will be conducting, so this is W. So here the PMOS transistor effective size is 2W, NMOS transistor worst case is W, so hence it mimics the behavior of a standard inverter. And as before, you have to consider the single input activation, although it is a two input NOR gate. So for 2 input NOR gate, the input capacitance becomes Cin equal to Cg into Wn plus Wp, that is Cg into W plus 4W, that is Cg into 5W. Okay, clear? So the time constant of a 2 input NOR gate then becomes the product of effective resistance and the input capacitance. What is the effective input resistance? That is R equivalent multiplied by Ln by Wn, that is 5, and input capacitance is 5 into Wn into Cg. That becomes 5 times R equivalent Ln and Cg. Okay, my dear friends, you can tell me now what is the time constant of a 3 input NOR gate? Can you tell me? So recall that for 3 input NOR gate there will be 3 transistors and each having the width 6W, okay, and 3 NMOS transistors in parallel. So then for single input activation, as we will have a single PMOS transistor having width 6W and here W, so it becomes, what will be the input capacitance? It will be Cg into 6 plus W, that means 7W. Okay, so input capacitance will become Cg into 7W. For 2 input NOR it is Cg into 5W. Here it will become, for 3 input NOR gate it will become Cg into 7W. So you can tell me easily that for a 3 input NOR gate the time constant will be 7 times R equivalent Ln Cg. Clear? Similarly, for a 3 input NAND gate, can you tell me what will be the time constant? So here in the series chain there will be 3 transistors each having the value 3W, and in the parallel chain there will be 3 PMOS transistors each having the value 2W. So you will have 2W plus 3W or 5W. So for a 2 input NAND gate you have got 4 R equivalent Ln Cg. For a 3 input NAND gate you will have 5 times R equivalent Ln Cg. Clear? More of this will be involved with when we shall take up the problem later, numerical problems. Acha. Now you consider a very general situation, that means a logic path which has got a 2 input NAND gate followed by an inverter followed by a 2 input NOR gate. Okay, then if you consider the delay through stages J and J plus 1, that means the signal is passing through 2 input NAND gate first, then it will pass through this inverter. So what is the delay? First, as it passes through the 2 input NAND gate, it is tau NAND multiplied by Cj plus 1 upon Cj. Now what is Cj plus 1? This is the input capacitance of the inverter. What is Cj plus 2? It is the input capacitance of the 2 input NOR gate. And what is Cj? That is the input capacitance of the 2 input NAND gate. Clear? So Dj plus 1 equal to tau into NAND multiplied by Cj plus 1 divided by Cj, that is the fan out ratio, plus gamma of the NAND gate. Gamma means it is the ratio of the self capacitance and the input capacitance. Clear? Plus in this second stage it is a tau inverter Cj plus 2 upon Cj plus 1 plus gamma inverter. Now you can question me, why are you considering only the 2 stage, only all the 3 stages are there? The reason is that in this term the common factor is the input capacitance of the inverter. Okay, so because you see here Cj plus 1 is involved in the numerator, here Cj plus 1 is involved in the denominator. Cj plus 1 is common to both the subterms. Now we have to optimize the delay. For minimum delay, differentiate this delay through stages. So dd Cj plus 1 of dj plus 1, that means differentiating dj plus 1 with respect to Cj plus 1, we get this expression. So from here we get a very important relation, we get, that is tau of NAND multiplied by Cj plus 1 by Cj equal to tau of inverter multiplied by Cj plus 2 by Cj plus 1. Or in other words, tau of NAND into fan out factor of J equal to tau of inverter into fan out ratio at the J plus 1, where FOJ equal to Cj plus 1 by Cj, FOJ plus 1 equal to Cj plus 2 by Cj plus 1. So what we can infer is that the delay is minimized when tau into FO, or the product of time constant and fan out of a gate, is equal to tau into FO of the next gate. That is, fan out portion of the delays must be equal to get the optimal solution. When you have got only a single gate, say earlier we have seen an inverter chain, then the fan out factor is same for all the stage. Here it is not possible. What is possible is that we have to get the product of time constant and the fan out to be same for all stages, or the fan out portion of the delay should be same for all the stages. You can even verify the result as follows. Take the next stage, that means inverter followed by a NOR gate, then dj plus 2 equal to tau of inverter into cj plus 2 upon cj plus 1 plus gamma of inverter. When the signal crosses the inverter, then it encounters the NOR gate. So here it becomes the second stage delay tau of NOR multiplied by cj plus 3 by cj plus 2 plus gamma of NOR. Now here we assume that suppose in the fourth stage there is a inverter. So cj plus 3 means that it is the nothing but the input capacitance of the inverter. Okay. So here if you consider the inverter followed by the NOR gate, it will become dj plus 2 equal to tau of inverter into cj plus 2 upon cj plus 1 plus gamma inverter plus tau of NOR into cj plus 3 upon cj plus 2 plus gamma of NOR. Again you can see that cj plus 2 is common to both the subterms of dj plus 2. Then you differentiate dj plus 2 with respect to cj plus 2 equated to 0. That leads to the fan out portion of the delay is same in inverter and the NOR gate. So tau of inverter into FOJ plus 1 equal to tau of NOR equal to into FOJ plus 2. So FOJ plus 1 becomes CJ plus 2 upon CJ plus 1, whereas FOJ plus 2 becomes the ratio of CJ plus 3 and CJ plus 2. So effectively a very important result you have established here. That means the fan out portion of the delay should be same in individual stage if we have a mixture of gates. That means NOR, NOR, inverter, whatever. It can be something else also, 3 input NOR, 4 input NOR, okay, 2 input NAND, whatever. But we have to be clear that for optimal delay, for minimal delay, the fan out portion of the delay should be same in the individual stage. That means tau of NAND into FOJ. In this example, mind you, tau of NAND into FOJ equal to tau of inverter into FOJ plus 1 equal to tau of NOR into FOJ plus 2. So remember, if you have got a chain of same type of gates, so only inverter, only NAND gate, only NOR gate, then you can get the fan out factor, that means the ratio of the output capacitance and input capacitance of any gate should be same in all stages. Here, when you have a mixture of gates, you cannot ensure that FO to be same for all gates. Why? Because you can have a 2 input NOR gate followed by 5 input NOR gate, or 5 input NOR gate followed by 3 input NAND gate, 3 input NOR gate followed by 6 input NOR. So there all the time constants will differ, and it is not possible to have, say, Cj plus 1 equal to Cj for all j, right? So what instead we can ensure is that the product of the time constant and FOJ should be same for all stages. For example, here I have got a NAND gate followed by 2 input NAND gate followed by an inverter followed by a 2 input NOR gate. So at this stage the fan out portion of delay equal to FOJ, that means Cj plus 1 by Cj multiplied by tau of NAND, that should be equal to tau of inverter multiplied by Cj plus 2 divided by Cj plus 1, that equal to tau of NOR 2 input NOR gate multiplied by Cj plus 3 divided by Cj plus 2. Clear? Now we shall make use of this relation in the next numerical problem. Okay, so what is the problem? Problem is that compute optimal gate sizes along a critical path. Here the critical path we have shown in the pen that it is just flowing, for simplicity it is just in a linear chain. That means we have shown a 2 input NAND gate which drives an inverter which drives in turn a 2 input NOR gate, and then the final load of a value 200 femtofarad, where the input capacitance is 2 femtofarad. So we have to size up the NAND gate so that it provides an input capacitance of 2 femtofarad. Okay, you have to clearly understand the problem. So once again, what is the objective? Objective is to obtain the optimum value of gate size. In fact, gate size means, what I mean is the individual transistors. So you will be able to tell me that a 2 input NAND gate has got 4 transistors, 2 Then to PMOS, what will be the required size of the PMOS and NMOS transistor? For the inverter, we have got a NMOS and PMOS. So what will be the size of that NMOS and PMOS transistor? Again, for a 2 input NOR gate, we have got 2 input, 2 NMOS, 2 PMOS. What will be the sizes? And possibly all the NMOS and PMOS transistor will differ in sizes from gate to gate. You will be surprised that we are able to find out that. So what is the specification? Specification is only that there is a output capacitance 200 femtofarad, there is the input capacitance 2 femtofarad, and you decide to have a linear chain which consists of a 2 input NAND gate followed by inverter followed by a 2 input NOR gate, nothing else. And what will be able to find out? You will be able to find out the size of the individual transistors, all the transistors of the individual gates. So how do you proceed towards the solution? As you have already established, for optimal delay, we must equalize the fan out portion of the delay. That means we have to ensure this. Here NAND followed by inverter followed by and 2 input NOR gate. So tau of NAND multiplied by the ratio of Cj plus 1 and Cj that should be equal to tau of the inverter multiplied by the ratio of Cj plus 2 upon Cj plus 1 equal to tau of NOR multiplied by the ratio of C load and Cj plus 2. So C load equal to the ultimate capacitance that you have to drive, 200 femtofarad. Cj plus 2, it is nothing but the input capacitance of the 2 input NOR gate. Cj plus 1, it is nothing but the input capacitance of the inverter, and Cj, that is the input capacitance, should be equated to the input capacitance of the 2 input NAND gate, and that will determine the size of the NMOS and PMOS transistor of the gates. Here the NAND gate. Now, in order to find out what is the stage delay, fan out portion of the delay, take the product of these 3 stages. You have got 3 stages. Take the product of these 3 components and obtain the geometric mean. That means you multiply out the fan out portion of the delay and take the third root or the cubic root. Okay, that's what we have to find out. So here, if you want to find out the cubic root of this entire expression, see that each of the tau NAND, tau inverter and tau NOR includes this factor Req and Cg ln. Then for tau NAND you have got 4, for tau inverter you have got 3, for tau NOR you have got 5. Yeah? So you take this outside the cubic, this root. Why? Because it appears thrice and its cubic root means you can take it out. So this multiplied 3 times and cubic root means you can take it out. So it is 4 into 3 into 5 into Req and Cg ln and 200 by 2. The other parameters, Cj plus 1, Cj plus 2, they get cancelled. Only Cj remains and C load remains. So it is C load by Cj, C load equal to 200, Cj equal to 2. So it is 4 into 3 into 5 into 200 by 2. So that is 6000. 6000 its cubic root. How do you calculate? That also I have shown for your benefit. 6000 to the power 1/3 is equal to z. Then take the logarithm. So 1/3 into log of 6000 equal to log z. So z becomes e to the power 1/3 log of 6000. Here log of 6000 means the natural logarithm base e. So it becomes 18.2. You can easily find out from your calculator. So the optimal fan out delay should be, for this particular example, it should be 18.2 into Req into Cg into ln. So input capacitance for each gate can be computed by setting the fan out delay to 18.2 and working out from the output n, tau NOR. So I start from output n, tau NOR equal to C load by Cj plus 2 equal to 5 times Req and Cg ln into 200 by Cj plus 2. That should be equated to 18.2 into Req and Cg ln. Okay, clearly. So then I can get easily Cj plus 2, that means the input capacitance of NOR gate should be 55 femtofarad. Okay, clear. So tau NOR equal to 5 Req and Cg into ln and C load by Cj plus 2, that is 200 by Cj plus 2. From here I get Cj plus 2 equal to 55 femtofarad. See that Req and Cg ln gets cancelled out. Okay. Achha, next if you proceed backwards from NOR gate, now I encounter the inverter. So here tau inverter into Cj plus 2 upon Cj plus 1 becomes 3 Req and Cg load into 55 femtofarad, because Cj plus 2 I have just now got it to be 55 femtofarad. Cj plus 1 is yet to be unknown. So that gives me the value of Cj plus 1 by solving this. Cj plus 1 equal to 9.1 femtofarad. finally the NAND gate, so I get backward streams from the inverter. I will now go to NAND gate. So tau now NND into Cj plus 1 upon Cj, so I see Cin equal to 4 times, because why 4 times? Because for the NAND gate the time constant is 4 times REPN, Cg and Ln, and multiplied by 9.1, you have just found out 9.1 by 2, 9.1 by Cin, that is equal to our fan out factor at this stage. So finally Cin you get it to be 2 femtofarad. That means it is a way of verifying that it is consistent with Cin specified in the problem. So we specified 2 femtofarad, and it is also required that this 2 input NAND gate should be having an input capacitance of 2 femtofarad. Now that I have got the input capacitance of the 3 gates, for this I have got 2, for this I have got 9.1, for this I have got 55 femtofarad. So now I can easily calculate the device sizes or the transistor size. Okay, so how? For NAND 2 gate, C input equal to 2 femtofarad, so Cg into 2W plus 2W. For your benefit, I have drawn the 2 input NAND gate transistor diagram. So here you can see that the PMOS transistor should be sized up to 2W and NMOS to be 2W each. So Cg into 2W plus 2W, I get W equal to 0.25. Hence the size of the NMOS and PMOS transistor should be 0.5 micrometer. Clear? For the inverter, C input equal to 9.1 femtofarad equal to Cg into W plus 2W. Why W and 2W? Because for a standard inverter, this is the size. So I get W equal to 1.5, and hence the NMOS size to be 1.5 micrometer, WP to be 3 micrometer. Lastly, for the 2 input NOR gate, of which I know that what is the requirement of input capacity, that is 55 femtofarad. Here Cj plus 255. So from that 55 equal to Cg into W plus 4W, that is equal to W equal to 5. And why W and 4W? Because for a 2 input NOR gate, the PMOS transistor should be sized 4W each and the NMOS transistor should be sized up W each. Yeah. So Wn equal to 5.5, whereas the Wp equal to 22 micrometer, 4 times Wn. Okay. So now I get the transistor size of all the 3 gates. Right? Clear? What is the actual delay, that will be able to find out from the next day's discussion, not today. Okay, so then we need some idea like what is the parasitic capacitance represented by each of the gate, what is the some concept of logical effort and all that will be involved. That we shall find out next day. So here the ultimate problem that we have done is of getting the sizing of the gates to obtain minimal delay. Only getting the size, but that means the size of the individual transistors that constitute the individual gates. Here you have considered a simple logic path consisting of a 2 input NAND gate followed by an inverter followed by a 2 input NOR gate. We get to know only the output load capacitance and the input load capacitance, that means 200 femtofarad and 2 femtofarad respectively, and the fact that the logic path consists of a 2 input NAND gate followed by an inverter followed by a 2 input NOR gate. What is the size requirement of the transistors of individual gates? And we could clearly find it out by considering the fact that fan out portion of the delay should be same for 3 stage. That means fan out factor of the NAND gate multiplied by Cj plus 1 upon Cj equal to fan out fan out factor Cj plus 2 upon Cj plus 1 multiplied by the time constant of the inverter equal to the time constant of the 2 input NOR gate multiplied out by the fan out factor, that is C load by Cj plus 2. Okay, so by applying that we could find the input capacitance of the 2 input NOR gate, inverter and 2 input NAND gate, and then from the knowledge of input capacitance of the inverters we could find out the transistor size. So that's all, my dear friend. So what we have seen is a gate sizing for optimal path delay. We had to specify the problem in a proper manner. That means based on the knowledge of the output load capacitance and the input capacitance, there will be a chain of gates if there is a single gate involved. Okay, we have to find out the fan out factor and the number value n. Okay, and knowing for sure that F will be same for individual stage, and we have to calculate the nth root of this. Clear? And this is the expression that you have got for the total delay. Okay, then from here we found out the delay versus fan out curve, and what is the requirement of the inverter chain length so that you get optimal delay. So we found that it's to 4. Then in general the logic path can involve in different varieties of gates, like inverter, apart from inverter, NAND gate, NOR gate, that too of various fan-in factor. So it's a very important expression that we found is that fan out portion of the delay should be same in the individual stage, not the fan out. Okay, because time constant will differ and fan out will also differ, but what we can do, the product of the two, that means product of the time constant and the fan out factor, can be made to be equal for individual stage. Based on that, we have solved a problem. That means in a most general case of structure which can involve a variety of gates apart from inverters like NAND gates and NOR gates, if the output load capacitance and the input capacitance is given to us, we can find out unambiguously the size of all the transistors. Okay, that's all, dear friends. So if you have any doubt, you can send me over email. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much.